Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining as a today demo. So myself is Ravi. So I do around 20 plus years of experience in the ERP. I started my career in Lebanon. So then I shifted into the Oracle apps in R12. And later, last couple of years, I'm there in the Oracle Fusion application. So I have a very good hands-on experience in the this Lebanon means that is a on-premise application. And at means that is also we have the on-premise applications what we have, and that is a cloud application. So what we have that. So the both on-premise and cloud, I have the very good hands-on experience. My profile is a techno-functional profile. I'm good at functional side. My core area is the financial as a functional side, and as well as I have the lot of implementation I'm done in the HCM side, also human capital management. So these are two functional areas I'm very much comfortable. I deal with multiple implementation projects in Oracle Fusion application. Or like when you talk about HCM, is more I did more projects in the Oracle Fusion application. In the e-business suite in R12, I'm more about completely in the financial. In the 11i, it's a completely financials. But when you talk about Oracle Fusion, I got the chance to work on the both areas, financial and HCM. So this is a functional area I'm most comfortable. When you say the technical, so I have the very good hands-on experience in the all technical objects with integrations. So that's the three areas I'm very much comfortable in my experience. Okay, let's go and jump on board talking about today as a demo Oracle Fusion financials. So most of the people, when you say non-ERP background, so they get the confused. Or when we receive the calls, also most of the people they gonna ask the first question whether Fusion and cloud is the same or Fusion and cloud is a difference. When you Google also, you can able to see that Fusion financials you can able to absorb, and as well as cloud financials you can able to absorb. So you will get the question, most of the people, they ask the question, this both are different courses or both are same courses. So I can say both is the same courses. There is no different courses, Fusion Financials and Cloud Financials. The both is same. So in Oracle Fusion itself, there is a multiple versions we have. In the Oracle Fusion itself, Oracle Fusion ERP itself, we have the multiple versions. The version is called R1, and the latest version is called R13. In R1 is released in the 2011. In the 2011 to in 2026, we have this many versions are available in the Fusion application. This many versions are available. Initially, this particular product is available in the two ways. One is the R12, you can say your particular R9 version, it is available in the two ways. One is the on-premise and second one is a cloud application. The both ways the product is available. On-premise means the client can buy this particular application and they can install this particular application to their own hardwares. So they can able to maintain the infra like own hardware they can able to maintain, and this particular application can able to install into their own hardwares with the help of the DBA people. So with the help of the DBA people, they can able to install this particular application to their hardware and they can able to maintain by own. So that's where we have the on-premise applications are available. In the same way, Oracle Fusion also is available in on-premise initial versions. You can buy it and you can able to install into your own servers. You can able to install it and you can able to maintain it. So that's where the same Oracle Fusion also it is available in the on-premise initial version in the R1 to R9. And the cloud option also is available. Later, Oracle changed the mindset and they're encouraging to sell this particular product only in cloud. So later in R9 also very limited clients, they're utilizing the on-premise application. So the later completely this particular ERP product, enterprise resource planning, this particular ERP product is available only form of the cloud. So there is no on-premise. If you want to buy it, if you want to install it to your own PCs or own hardwares, so no, it's not possible in the latest cloud application what we have that. So when you say the cloud, again, it is available in the different license. Cloud is not there, not for single license. Cloud again, if any customer or any client want to buy this particular product, it is available in the three license. One is a SaaS license, software as a service. Second one is a PaaS license, platform as a service. Third one is the IaaS, infrastructure as a service. There's the three ways is available in this particular license: SaaS, software as a service; PaaS, platform as a service; IaaS, infrastructure as a service. What about this SaaS, PaaS, IaaS? Any client, for suppose you can take any client as a Cisco. Cisco is you can consider as a client. The Cisco last 10 years, they're using something called JD Edwards. JD Edwards also is one of the ERP. So they're using some existing ERP last 10 years in the JD Edwards. Somehow the Cisco is not happy. Somehow the Cisco is not satisfied the JD Edwards ERP application. Then Cisco is a decide to move to the Oracle Fusion application. Then what Cisco will do? The Cisco always approach to the Oracle or Oracle salespersons will approach to the Cisco in order to sell this particular product. So, anyways, the Cisco is attracted Oracle product, and Cisco is decide to move to the Oracle Fusion application. So then the Cisco will, in order to buy the license, they'll approach to the Oracle. So when Cisco is approached to the Oracle in order to buy this particular Oracle Fusion application, and Oracle will ask couple of questions to the Cisco. So before selling the license or before buying the license from the Cisco, the Oracle asks a couple of questions to the Cisco. So the first question always is to talk about the database. First question always will talk about the database. So whether you want to maintain your own database, whether you want to maintain your own database, if the Cisco is giving the reply, yes, I want to maintain my own infra, so our own database. Then what Cisco will do that? What Oracle do that? So Oracle will immediately they ask the question: does your company any cloud data center? Your company having the any cloud data center? If the Cisco is giving the reply, yes, my company having already cloud data center. The Cisco having the already cloud data center. If you have already cloud data center, you can buy the application alone. Application in the sense your the financial application, HCM application, SCM application. So these all are application in order to manage the company. So there is the financials to maintain. There is a financial application in order to maintain the employees information. There is a HCM application in order to maintain the purchasing and shipping the orders and the warehouse. These all SCM applications, supply chain management application. So there is a couple of application. Which application you require that? You can buy the application alone. You can buy the application alone. You can buy it. So already the Cisco having the data center. You can buy the application. That application you can able to install into your own infra. That means your own cloud infrastructure you can able to install. So with the help of OCA people, with the help of the OCA people, infra people, so you can able to maintain your infra, and with help of the OCA people, you can able to install your particular application to your cloud data center. So these are the first option Oracle will provide you that. If client is saying that no, I don't have any cloud data center, okay. The Oracle also sell the data center that is called we have the IaaS. So Oracle also call sealing the data center. So that license called as IaaS. This case, the client need to maintain the both application they have to maintain, and they have to be buy the two things. So one is the application cost, second one is the infra cost. Both they have to pay. So if your client is opt for financial application, if the client is opt for HCM application, then application cost, then there is a infra also provided by Oracle, correct? Then the infra cost also. Here also the key persons is infra persons. Previously, we have the DBA here, infra people, that is a cloud infra people is the key persons who can able to maintain this particular the infra, and like the installing part and maintaining of the your particular infrastructure is the key persons. These are the two options Oracle is provided if the client want to maintain their own data centers, own infrastructures if they want to maintain that. So most of the government sector, banking sector, definitely they'll be maintain their own infras. That case, they'll go in this particular option. Might be they'll be maintain their own cloud data center, or they'll be approached to the Oracle by the data center and by the application. And the next option, what we have that is a very famous license. That is a license called SaaS license, software as a service. Another license we have that. So that license we call as a SaaS, software as a service. So in this case, everything will be maintained by the Oracle. So the client no need to think about the data center and the OCA people. There is no need to be think about that when you say SaaS license, software as a service license. Everything is handled by Oracle. So just you can log in the directly in the front end application. So pay as you go, pay the money and start to use the application. Here all about user cost. So for suppose if you take the financial license, if the client need financial application in order to maintain the organization as a financial information, in order to maintain, they need a financial application. So in the financial application, how many users will be log in this financial application? How many users will log in? Entire the Cisco having the business in the US, UK, in India. In US, how many users will be logging day to day? In UK, how many users will be logging to maintain the day to day business? And in India, how many users will be logging to day to day business? That means how many accountants working on the Cisco? The accountants are working in the accounting payable department. Some accountants are working in the GL department. Some accountants are working in the AP department. Some accountants are working in the account receivable department, and who are working in the cash management department, fixed asset department, taxation department. So which are the people need to be logged in this particular application? Which are the accountants are working in the Cisco from the entire the globe? So 30 accountants or 40 accountants are working, or 100 accountants. So if you say 100 accountants are working, that means what they require, they need 100 logins they require. So this accountants every day they log in this particular application in order to maintain the financial data. Correct. So the cost it will coming from the how many users is logging. 100 users are logging, and which are the modules they're logging. Which are the modules they log in? General ledger, account payable, account receivable, cash management, fixed asset. That base the cost it will come. If the client is saying that he need HCM application also, home and capital management application also, that means HCM who gonna handle that? HCM can able to handle who are the end users who are going to be maintain the HCM information in the organization. The recruiters, they're going to be maintain the recruiting information. There is an onboarding team, they're going to maintain the onboarding information. And there is a core HR team, they in order to maintain the HR information. And there is a payroll team in order to run the payroll. There is a talent acquisition team in order to maintain the performance of the employees, goals of the employees. So there is a separate teams, correct? These all are different department for HCM. How many recruiters are working in the Cisco company? How many onboarding teams are working in the Cisco company? How many core HR team is working in the entire the Cisco company? That means how many HRs are there? How many payroll administrators are there from the entire the Cisco organization? That means there is a logins, correct? So might be there is a 10 recruiters are working, might be there is a 20 HRs are working from the entire the Cisco, and might be there is a 5 payroll administrator is there in order to maintain from the entire the payroll system. And the talent acquisition might be there working on the 30 employees in order to maintain the performance and goals and compensation of these all employees from the Cisco. So this way there is the teams are available and these all the teams need login this particular Fusion application in order to maintain this particular HR information, correct? So how many logins required? There is a 50 logins, there is a 100 logins. That base, there is a cost it will come. Pay as you go, pay the money and start to usage your particular application. So that's once you've done the payment, immediately they'll get the URL and username and password. Immediately they'll get the URL and they'll get the username and passwords. And they can immediately they start the application. How we connect your Facebook, how you connect your LinkedIn. In the same way, through the internet browser, you can connect with your particular financial application. You can connect with your HCM application through the internet and start to usage of your particular application. It's a most simplified license. So if it's a small size of customers or below mid size of the customers, they're very much happy with this SaaS application. Why means just pay as you go. They don't need to think about the infra. There is no need to think about maintaining up the application. Everything is take care by Oracle team only. So that is a SaaS license, software as a service license. And when the customer using the SaaS license, software as a service license, so they need they expected get the flexibility in the SaaS application. They expected flexibility means so they need here in the SaaS application if you want to connect to your database. So what we have that in the backend, we have the database, correct? We have the database is there. We have the database. We have the database. To connect the database, to insert the data into your database, to connect your database, what usually we use. So here, Oracle case, this is we use the SQL. So using up the SQL, you can insert the data and you can able to update the data and you can able to delete the data using up the your particular SQL in the database. But coming to the Fusion application, if you want to connect with your directly database, no, we don't have that kind of flexibility. In previously, we have the on-premise application. So that case, through the SQL, I can connect, I can talk to my database directly. If I want to create any data directly, I can go and connect with my database. I can create my table and I can able to enter the data, update the data, correct the data, delete the data. Then directly I can able to operate it through the database directly. So we have that in the front end forms are available. In the front end, we have the forms are available. Your supplier form, invoice form. That is what we call as application, correct? As a non-ERP background, you can understand that in the front end, what we have that we have the forms like invoice form. So instead of the creating the invoice through the SQL directly database in the front end, what we have that we have the forms are available. Your invoice form, using up the invoice form, you can create the invoice. That invoice information it will store in your particular database. So using up the your particular purchase order stream PO form, then you can create your purchase order. The purchase order will stored in your backend, your particular database, correct? So here in the database, if you want to pull out the data, for suppose I want to see that last 1 week invoices, I want to see that what are the validated invoices. So what we have that we have the concept called as a reports. What we have the concept called as a reports. Using up the running of the reports, we can able to pull out your information to your database to your particular front end. So this is what we call as a simple call non-ERP background, your particular application. Application means there is a database and there is a forms and there is a reports. So this is the way you can consider as your particular application. If you log in with your financial application, you can able to see your financial forms. You can able to see that you have the 4 financial reports. You have that. Okay. So here the thing is that when you are in the SaaS license in the Fusion application, when you are there in the SaaS license, software as a service license, if you want to connect directly or deal with your database, no, there is no chance to connect with your database if you are there in the SaaS license, software as a service license. Always you have to depend upon the reports. Always you have to depend upon the reports. If you want to pull out the data, in the front end, you enter the data and you store the data into your particular database, like invoice data, your purchase order data, your particular transactions data, or your particular sales order data. all the data you're using as a transaction user, as an end user, using the forms, and he can able to storing the data. So the data will be stored in your form of your particular database. Those database, if you want to connect your directly database through the SQL, not possible. You always depend upon the particular reports on. So always key in the SaaS license, in the SaaS software as a service license, always key is the reports only. The reports case, we have the majorly BAP report, business intelligence process report. Through the BAP report only, we can connect and we can able to pull out the data into your particular database. But if the customer is asking, I want to be connect with my database. If the customer is asking, I want to connect with my database in the SaaS application, no, we don't have such kind of flexibility. If the customer is not happy with in the front end form, in the front end screen, is not happy that he want to create the custom page, or he's not happy with our particular invoice page, or he's not happy with our particular employee hiring page. If you want to create your custom thing, your custom page you want to develop that. So in the SaaS license, whether we have that kind of flexibility, no, we don't have such kind of flexibility. Or the customer using some front end, they are very much comfortable to capture the data, some e-commerce sites. So whatever the data they capturing in the front end e-commerce sites, those all the data they want to bring into the Oracle Fusion application. Or if the customer, the Cisco, you can take the example, the Cisco having the business in the US, and the Cisco having the business in the UK, and the Cisco business having the India. So this they started the business in the US, and they when they started, they using the SAP ERP, and later they entered into the UK. So they acquired some existing business, and so they using the JD Edwards. So they using the JD Edwards as a ERP. They using that. India they using the Oracle apps. India they using the Oracle apps. They using the multiple ERPs. They using that. US SAP and UK JD Edwards and India Oracle apps. Now the customer having the requirement, so they want to buy the Oracle Fusion ERP. Now they want to come to the Oracle Fusion ERP. In the Fusion ERP, they want to bring this all the data in Oracle Fusion ERP, they want to bring this all the data. So they want to implement in Oracle Fusion ERP, they want to implement the general ledger module. They want to implement the general ledger module, GL module they want to implement. So they want to bring this all the data like SAP ERP to Oracle Fusion ERP, JD Edwards ERP to Oracle Fusion ERP, Oracle Apps ERP to Oracle Fusion ERP. So they want to bring multiple on-premise data to your particular Oracle Fusion Cloud ERP. When they created a transaction in the SAP ERP, when they create transaction in the JD Edwards ERP, when they create the transaction in the Oracle ERP, transactions means when they create the journal. Journal means if you write any transaction, debit and credit format. If you write any transaction, debit and credit format, that is a call as a journal. So if they done any transaction in SAP, when the transaction is a posted, when the transaction is a posted, post in SAP ERP, when the transaction is a post in the JD Edwards ERP, when the transaction post in the Oracle Apps ERP. So they want to be bring this all information into the Oracle Fusion General Ledger. Here they want to bring some consolidation ledger. They want to be create the consolidation ledger. They want to bring US data, UK data, India data, and they want to generate consolidated balance sheet. They want to generate in Oracle Fusion GL, General Ledger Model. So that case, what happened? These three ERPs need to be talked to the your particular Oracle Fusion application. So directly, if you buy the only SaaS license, if you expert only SaaS software as a service license, if you expert these scenarios, is it possible? So it's a possible means in the SaaS license, we don't have such kind of flexibility. So here, what I'm trying to explain that in the SaaS application, yes, SaaS license is a very good license, but whenever the customer is expert some kind of flexibility, just now I explained a couple of flexibilities, correct? He's expecting to create the custom page, he's expecting to integrate with a couple of third party application, he's expecting to do something, some kind of requirement. So that case Oracle is having one more license, that license called as a platform as a service, PaaS. So PaaS is not a license. PaaS is a combination of the middleware components. Combination of the middleware components. So based on the customer requirement base, the Oracle will suggest to buy the middleware components or buy the licenses. So as for your explanation, so we have the concept called as a now we have the one good license that is called as a OIC, Oracle Integration Cloud. Under that, there is ICS, Integration Cloud Service. If the customer having the ICS license, yes, this scenario is a possible. If the customer having the Integration Cloud Service license, yes, this scenario is a possible. Yes, we can create the integration between your three ERPs, SAP ERP, JD Edwards ERP, Oracle Apps ERP to Oracle Cloud ERP. So when the transaction user is a posted the transaction in the SAP, JD Edwards, and Oracle apps, automatically this all the transaction will hit it to the your Oracle Fusion application, and you don't need to be do anything. Just establish the connection between these three ERPs to Oracle Fusion ERP through the integration. Once you proper establishment happen, when the moment the transaction user is a created transaction in the SAP ERP, automatically the transaction will come your particular Oracle Fusion application. That's where they get the flexibility if the customer having the under OAC, that is the license called as ICS. So under OAC, there is a Visual Cloud, VBCS, Visual Cloud Service, and under OAC, there is a PCS, Process Cloud Service. So what this all about? This all about will get the flexibility in your particular SaaS application to create the custom page, to develop end-to-end process, to create the integrations with your third-party applications. So you'll get all the flexibility. So when your customer using the SaaS license, and most of the customers, if the mid-stage or above mid-stage of the customers, most of the customers, they using SaaS plus PaaS. SaaS is your application, your financial application, HCM application, supply chain management application. This all it will come by your SaaS license. PaaS is nothing but middleware components. Through the middleware components, what you are getting? You are getting the flexibility in your particular SaaS application. So that's what we have the three license: SaaS, PaaS, IaaS. So might be you'll ask the question whether we are going to be involved this particular license. No, we never going to be involved this kind of discussions. If you are in the manager level or some kind of level, those people might be involved to in order to purchase this license. In the commonly, we never going to be involved this particular licensing purchasing. But as a consultant, as a functional consultant, as a technical consultant, as an integration consultant, we should be have awareness about this all license, which license the client having that, or which license you're using that. The basic awareness is required uh, 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 when you are working in this particular Oracle Fusion application. That's the reason I'm giving the basic idea about what kind of license we have. That at the moment we have the cloud license only, there is no on-premise. In the cloud we have the three. SaaS is nothing but that your particular applications, and PaaS is nothing but your particular middleware components, and IaaS is nothing but your particular infra. That's where you can understand these three lessons. Okay. Any question before moving to that? No. Okay. We now will talk about more now. So we understand what are the versions we have in Oracle Fusion application, and we understand the basic idea about what are the licenses we have in Oracle Fusion application. And we'll more talk about now. We'll more talk about our particular core area, Oracle Fusion Financials application. Our application are we used to call as a offering. So offering our application, the term is both the same. Okay. So Oracle Fusion Financials application. What is this all about? Oracle Fusion Financial ERP. When you say ERP, ERP in the sense enterprise resource planning. So using of this particular ERP application, the companies can able to maintain the end-to-end financial transaction. As a financial consultant, or if you join with as an accountant for organization, what is your particular role? But suppose if you work in the accounting payable department, so if you're working in the account receivable department, or if you're working in the cash management department, or if you're working in the general ledger department, or if you're working in your particular taxation department. So so usually any company, if you take it, these all are different department. These departments who will gonna work. So the all accountants who can become as an account, like a BCom background or MBA background, who having the accounting background people, they'll be joined as an accountant for this particular any of the company in order to maintain the accounts, correct? So once you join that, they can able to use most of the companies definitely they can use applications. If the small company might be they use the small application tally something like that. If you are go with the mid size of the companies or above mid size of the clients, definitely they use the strong ERP application in order to maintain the this entire financial data. Not only financial data, when you say ERP, the ERP having the all things. You have the SCM, supply chain management, and HCM, human capital management, and financials, and they have projects, PPM. So all having the under ERP based on the client requirement, they'll be opt for which application they require that. So if you are, we'll talk about more about the financial side. Okay. So as the accountant in accounting payable department, what you will do? As an accountant in accounting payable department, what will do? He'll be create purchasing invoice, correct? Supplier purchasing invoices will be created. So when our the supplier release the invoice, once supplier is a provide the service, whether it's a provide the items or whether it's provide the service, once supplier is a provide the service and he release the invoice, those invoices will received by accounting payable department, correct? In AP people, in AP transaction user, are we called as the end user? Usually in outside we call as a accountant, but as a ERP terminology we call as a AP transaction user. We call as a transaction user, or we call as a end user, or we call as a AP employee. He'll be create the transaction, correct? Who will be gonna do the transactions in AP module, in accounting payable module, in AP accountant or AP transaction user or AP end user. He'll be receive the invoices from the supplier and he'll be entering into the Oracle Fusion ERP. So that's what he will be do, correct? So he'll be create the invoice. So based on the payment terms base, he'll be process the payment, correct? This is the activity as a accounting payable department, as a AP accountant will do, correct? As a he'll be create the supplier purchasing invoices. As for the payment term, he'll be process the payment, he'll do that. He'll be make the process the payment for the as for the payment terms base, correct? So that's what can do by AP department. And AR department, what will do? So once item is sale to the customer, once item is a sale to the customer, item is a shipped to the customer location. In AR department, people what they can do? So they'll be create the invoice, they'll be create the transaction, and they'll send to the customer. So one is the item is shipped to the customer location. We have to collect the money, correct? We have to be collect the money from the customer. So then what AR people will do? They'll be create the transaction. The transaction can send to the customer. So once customer done the payment, so he done the payment through the online or he done the payment through the UPA payment or different ways he'll do process the payment. Those payment information will received, and those payment information base will be create the receipt and we apply to the receipt we apply to the transaction. So if the customer is done the check payment, if the customer is done the check payments, so that case, so we have to be collect the check and the check details we have to submit to the bank. As for process, the amount will be credited to our account, debited to our particular customer account. So this can able to handle by account receivable department people, AR department people, what they can do, they'll be create the transaction and they collect the money and they'll be create the receipts, and the receipts can apply to the particular transaction, and if they collect the money through the check, then there is a process called as a remittance. How your check details sent to the bank, how the process will happen, that process we call as a remittance process. This can handle by your particular AR. So AP, we are purchasing the in accounting payable, we are purchasing. By the purchasing, we receive the invoice and we process the payment. In AR, we sell the item to the customer, and based on the selling process, will we create the transaction? We collect the money to the customers. That means what is happened in AP? We are recording the your particular expenses. In AR, what we are doing? We are recording our particular revenues, correct? In the AP, we are purchasing something and we pay the something. You are paying the something means that is an expense for the organization, and you are collecting the money. Collecting the money means it's generating the revenue, it will be generating. That will be recorded in your particular AR. What cash management people will do? Cash management people will do the reconciliation process. What they can do, there is a in AP where you done the payment. In AP accounting payable, you initiate the payment. In AP department, in the payment workbench, so you initiated to the your particular processing the payment. Once you clicking on the pay in a ERP workbench, once you clicking on the pay the money, so you are paying the money through the check, or you're paying the through the your particular wire, or you're paying through the EFT. That is the three ways we can able to process the payment. One is a check, second one is a wire, third one is a EFT, electronic fund transfer. So anyways, you process the payment. How the settlement happen? So the bank is involved, correct? Without bank, the payment will not settle down, correct? So the bank will involved. If you giving the check to the supplier will deposit the check to the bank. So as for the check, as for the cost to pay file base, the bank will be cleared the particular check will be cleared by the bank people. That's what is happening. That means the bank is involved. So you have done the online transfer, whether you've done the EFT or you've done the wire. So that case also bank is the key picture, correct? So the bank is a mediator to settle down this whole process, your ERP to your particular supplier, correct? The bank is a in between your between we have the done the this particular settlement, correct? So that means bank is involved. So what cash management people will do? Cash management people, we will take the bank statement. Cash management people will collect the bank statement from the bank. They'll be collect the bank statement, they'll be collect from the bank. So what their role, what cash management people will do? Cash management people, they're mapping to the bank statement line to your system transaction line. That means, so where you initiate the payment, I initiate the payment to the my ERP system. That means in the ERP system, you have the payment details, correct? And based on the you're initiating the payment, the bank will settle down the bank, it will be done that settle down, correct? So that means there is a information is available in the system. There is a information is available in the your bank statement line. So they're going to map to the your system transaction to your bank statement line. That is we call as a reconciliation. Reconciliation between your statement line to your system transactions that can able to handle by cash management people, CM people. They're going to map to line, bank statement line to your system transaction line. So that can be able to handle by manual reconciliation, auto reconciliation. If anything differences, how they going to handle this can all take care by the cash management people. They're going to be take care of that. So that means your finally the clearance it will come by that your payment clearance and your receipt clearance where it will come in. Final clearance will come by your particular cash management people. Once they done the proper reconciliation, the final entry it will be generated. The final entry will be generated. This all information, your expense information, your revenue information, and your clearance information, this all information it will treat to the your particular general ledger module, your AP, your accounting payable, your expenses, your accounting payable department, what are the expenses happen? So those expenses, it will be recorded through the journal. So in Oracle Fusion application, each and every transaction, it will record it through the journal format. Each and every transaction, it will record it through the journal. What is the meaning of journal? Journal means which account is a debit, which account is a credit. In AP, what is the core things we'll do? In AP, will we create the invoice? So whenever you create the invoice, what is the entry? In the backend, so we don't require to do anything in the ERP system. What accountant will do in the regular accounting department, he need to pass the entry, correct? What is the role of the accountant? He need to be pass the your expense entries, your revenue entries. Who will going to pass? That is the accountant will pass. But when they use the ERP, the entry, it will be come by automatically. When the front end, the transaction user is a created the invoice, automatically the backend, the system will be generate the journal. Journal in the sense debit and credit. Whenever you create the invoice, which account should be debit, which account should be credit, the entry, it will come by automatically backend. Your expense entry, it will be generated by automatically. Or in AP department, what is another core area? To the process the payment. Whenever you process the payment, in the backend, the system will be generating the entry, it will be generating. The journal, it will be generated by the backend. That means in a accounting department, AP department, when the moment you create the invoice, the entry will happen. When the purpose, when the moment to do the payment, then the clearance will come. Then the account will be nullified. And this particular entries, whenever you done the reconciliation, the final clearance entry it will come. So this all entry, it will go to your general ledger module. In the same way, if you go for your in the financial another key module account receivable. In the account receivable, what we can do when you create the transaction, when you create the transaction AP, we used to call as a invoice. In AR account receivable, same invoice we call as a transaction. But in AP, the invoice received by the supplier. In AR, invoice created by organization. Correct. Whenever you create the transaction, automatically the backend, it will be maintained by the entry. Or whenever you collect the money from the customer, that means collect the money means how we are collecting the money through the receipt. So whenever you create the receipt in the backend, the system will be maintain the entry. That is a journal. Which account is a debit, which account is a credit. Or whenever you've done the remittance process, for suppose you collect the money through the check, those check details, how you sending to the bank. So those process called as a remittance process. So whenever you do the remittance process, what is the entry? What is the entry it will be generated? That means which journal it will pass. So you don't require to know in Oracle Fusion Financials, you don't require to know your core financial background also, because of the entries it will be generating by automatically. If you want to become as accountant, definitely you should be required core financial accounting knowledge. But coming to the Oracle ERP or any ERP, so when you're coming with the bigger ERPs, you don't need a core accounting background. But if you know, that's a definitely advantage. But if you don't know, also that's fine, because of the entries it will be generated by automatically in the backend. So these are all entries. It will be going to the another module. You can say our core module for cash management. Whenever you've done the reconciliation, the backend, it will be maintained the entries. This whole data, your payable expense data, your receivable, your particular revenue data, this whole information will come to the your ledger book. That is called as a general ledger module, GL module. In the GL, what we can do that will be create the ledger book. This is our core area as a financial core area. What is the core? That is the GL, general ledger module. Here we establish all core financial structure will establish in the general ledger module. So like here we are saying that the journal will be created. How the journal will be created? So what is the journal debit combination? What is the credit combination? How this combination will be generated? How is the system will be generating automatically journal? Or which logic based system will be generating the automatically journal? This all core accounting part will be designed by your general ledger module. So once you design, Whenever you run the AP, whenever you're doing the AR, or whenever you're doing the cash management, or whenever you're doing the fixed asset module, or whenever you're doing the taxation module, the backend it will maintain by the entries. Those all entries will come to the your general ledger module. Using of the general ledger module will be generating the all the reports will be generated. What kind of reports? Your particular monthly expense report, expense or profit. So whether it's expense or profit, like your particular expense report will be generated. So you get the your all expenses information through the your AP. All revenue information will be generated from your particular AR. So you have the expenses and you have the revenues. So whether you get the your particular profit and loss, correct? Whether you're getting the profit for the particular month or you're getting the loss, you're getting the month. And another core module is the your particular FA module, fixed asset module. Another core important module is if your client is implementing the asset module. Whenever you create the invoice and the AP, so those invoice information you want to treat as a asset. The invoice, what happened? You purchase the something, correct? Invoice means you purchase the for some supplier, you purchase the something, correct? You purchase the particular item. That particular item you want to treat as a asset. So you want to be monitor whether is depreciation of the particular asset. So that invoice information will use the process to create the asset. So once asset is generated, so what is your particular depreciation of the particular asset? What is the asset value? What is the depreciation for the particular asset? So this all information, your asset related information, it will be maintained by your particular FA module, fixed asset module. So the asset information, whenever you create the asset, whenever you run the depreciation for particular asset, whenever you retire the asset, whenever you reinstance the asset, so replace the asset, this all information will maintained by your fixed asset module, FA module. So those all assets journals also, it will come to the your particular general ledger module. Using up the your revenue and using up the your particular expenses, you can generate your profit and loss. Your profit and loss report, which accounts are involved, your expense entries and your particular revenue accounts. Or whenever you come into the balance sheet, your company balance sheet. So where the balance sheet will be generated by your particular general ledger module only. Here, what the accounts are involved. So what is your particular equity and what is your particular assets? Those information, correct? It will come by the your particular balance sheet accounts, your assets accounts and your equity accounts and your particular liability accounts. These are all accounts is involved for your particular balance sheet. So this all information it will maintain by your particular general ledger module. Whenever we run your accounting payable department or processing of the account receivable department, cash management department, and your particular fixed asset department. So this all information as a accounting prospective, it will be maintained by entry format. That is a debit entry, credit entry, journal format. So those all journals, it will come to the your general ledger module. Using up the GL module, will be generating your core reports called your profit and loss and your particular balance sheet, or any kind of reports will be generated through the your general ledger module. Okay. So who is going to do this particular invoice and payment, transaction, receipt, remittance, reconciliation, and maintaining of the assets? This can do by transaction users, the end users. If the end user want to do this all those things as a consultant, so what is our role? Our role is a consultant. As a consultant, we need to be configure the system. We have to be ready the system. So once we ready the system, then they use this particular system, the transaction users will do the transaction. As a non-ERP background, most of the people they'll think about in AP, they'll be going to create that invoice, they're gonna process the payment, they're gonna do the transaction, collect the money from the receipt. No. So who can do that? Which are the accountants are working in the organization? Those people can do these all activities. But what we can do as a consultant, we are going to be implement the product implementation. Once the customer is buying this particular product, as for our example, Cisco is buy this particular product. So once Cisco can start directly this usaging of this particular product, no. So once Cisco is buying the product, then as a consultant, we're gonna do implementation process. So once we properly implement the product, then only they can start to usage of the product. Once we implement it and once we hand out this particular product to the Cisco, which are the transaction users are working in the Cisco, those transaction users can log in this particular application. They can able to usage of this particular application in order to creating the invoice, processing the payment, creating the transaction, collect the money. So these all activities can done by the end users, transaction users. What is our role? Our role to implement the product and support the product. Support in the sense when the transactions users are using this particular product, definitely they'll face a lot of challenges. Those challenges we call as support issues. Those issues will received by through the tickets. So that tickets base we have to resolve it. So as a month end process, as a month end closer for AP periods or the month end process for your AP and GL, so they'll face a lot of issues. Those issues we have to be resolved it. So can those kind of handled by support team. If you want to implement the product, if you want to be support the product, first you should be required the product. That's the reason. So we are learning the product, but we are not using the product used by the client, the product daily base used by the which are the accountants are working in the Cisco, those people can used by this particular product. But if you want to be implement or if you want to support, first you should be expert in the product. That's the reason we are talking about all the transaction. Implementation means all the configuration. Support means you should be get grip on the configuration and you should be grip on the transaction. That's the reason in this particular course, we are going to be talk about your configurations, how we can able to implement the GL module. In the GL, we have the couple of, let me open course agenda. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Let me open core financial agenda. Yeah. So here you can see the core financial agenda. You can able to see that here you can see the your particular general ledger module. Here what we having there. So we are going to configure the all GL different kind of ledgers we have in the general ledger module. We have the different kind of ledger books will be created. So we have the primary ledger, so where we can able to capture your for all day-to-day transactions, for your expense entries, your revenue entries, and all your assets, your primary, that name itself is their primary kind of information. But as for the business, we have to be having couple of other ledgers also is there. We have the primary ledger and we have the reporting currency is the one of the key things. So what are the data is available in the primarily. So with one currency, if you want to report it to the another currency that called as a reporting currency, and we have are able to hear. I have some.
No, yes, sir, I'm following. Yes, thank you.
Are able to hear correct? Okay. My airport charging updated. Yeah. So we have the concept called primary ledger, and we have the concept called your particular reporting currency, where our primary ledger information will report it to the different currencies. And we have the concept called secondary ledger, as for business need to do something maintaining of the information the secondary level. Then there is a concept called secondary ledger, and there is a concept called as a second to reporting currency also is available. And there is a concept called consolidation ledger, so to bring different ledger data and generating the consolidated balance sheet or consolidated information case, there is a consolidation ledger. So there is a couple of core concepts in your particular GL module, like a primary ledger, reporting currency, secondary ledger, reporting currency, consolidation ledger. So these all are primary concepts are there in your particular GL module. There is a scenario all about the scenario. Reporting currency, there is a scenario, there is a business logic.
That's the reason we create the reporting currency. Secondary ledger, there is a couple of scenarios. We cannot say this is the only scenario. It is all about business, correct? Client to client, the business scenarios are different. As a scenario based, as a functional consultant, we gonna suggest that, okay, as for this scenario, we'll go to the secondary ledger. The secondary ledger is going to fulfill your requirement. So this is all about client and requirement and our suggestions. So that base the establish of your reporting currency, secondary ledger, secondary to reporting currency, and your particular consolidation ledger. And there is a restriction. Definitely, when you have these particular ledgers, you have the couple of users, correct? The in the general ledger module, couple of users are working. There is a 5 users, there is a 10 users that are working in the GL module. So one user, one ledger book access, one user, two ledger book access they required. One user, you don't want to allow to the all companies, like if the client having the retail company, infra company, and IT company. So I have the employee, I want to be provide only retail company access. I have the employee, I want to provide retail and infra company access. He's a manager, I want to provide retail, infra, IT. Three company balances I want to be allowed to see. And I have the user, I don't want to be allowed to pass the particular code combination. So these particular code combinations, I don't want to be allowed to pass it. I want to restrict. These are the combination to pass the my entries. So this kind of core ledger books creation and core code combination, like your debit combination, credit combination, what kind of combinations you want to be allowed to pass the entries, or what are the combinations you don't want to be allowed to pass your entries. So this kind of core kind of things you can able to see then the GL ledger, like how to pass the manual journal, and how to reverse those journals. If you want to pause any transaction, if you want to cancel it, how we can do that, how automatic reversal happen, how automatic post happen. If you want to restrict to the particular user to particular balancing segment value, nothing but the retail or infra or IT values. If you have the different companies, those companies you want to restrict to your particular users, and you want to restrict to the particular code combinations, and your particular translation process translated with the balances with one currency to another currency, and restricted to the users to particular values. So this all stuff you can observe that the same thing, different ledgers creation, restricting to the users with values, and restricting to the code combinations. So this all is your core heart of the your particular primary ledger, and core heart is the your FRS, Financial Reporting Studio, or reporting center, where we can able to create all reports, your profit and loss or your balance sheet or core financial reports will be generated through the FRS, Financial Reporting Center. So this is also heart of the as a financial guy in the general ledger module. In the general ledger, more on the reporting, and once you establish that, what happened, once you establish your general ledger module, when our accounting payable, when our accounting receivable module, when they do the transaction, automatically creating the entries, those entries it will coming to the your primary ledger, primary to your reporting currency, primary to second ledger, second to reporting currency, and your sub ledgers to it will going to be your consolidation ledger. It's a one time established. Once it's established happen, automatically this all transactions flow, it will be go. That's what is all about your particular general ledger module. So when you talk about your accounting payable module in AP, so in AP, what is the core area? I want to create the invoice. I want to be process the payment, correct? That is the core things can do by your particular accounting payable module, correct? So in AP, if you want to create the invoice, if you want to process the payment, definitely we have to be implement the accounting payable module, correct? Implement means as per the client requirement, doing of the setups, doing of the configurations. So these all setups, we have to do your to create the invoice. What setups are we have to do to process the payment? So what setups we have to do that? Invoice configuration, payment configurations. Once you've done the invoice configuration, payment configuration, once you understand the your invoice and payments, yes, you can able to test for these all transactions. like we have the different scenario, different transactions like debit memo, credit memo, prepayment, interest invoice, withholding tax invoice, and payment request invoice. And the invoice can able to create manual way, the invoice can able to create the spreadsheet loader, the invoice can able to create through the scan copy, and the automatic create invoice, and how we can create the invoice mapping to their purchase order. So these are all things we gonna talk about detail level in your particular AP transactions, account payable transactions we gonna talk about. In the same way, we have the different types of payments. We have that in the payment workbench. We have the manual payment, we have the quick payment, and we have the refund, and we have the PPR, payment process request, like batch payment, automatic payment, how we can able to generate it. So those all will talk about very detailed level configurations as well as your particular transactions. So then we have the couple of scenarios is available in your particular APs, like how third party payments happen. Third party payments means I receive the invoice from the one supplier, I want to process the payment from the other supplier. And if the client is asking each invoice, he want to release the separately payment. Usually what happen, I have the supplier, I'll group that particular supplier. I have the 5 invoice I have to pay. The 5 invoice I have to group it. I'll release the one check. I release the one payment, correct? But the customer is expecting each supplier invoice I want to process separately. I don't want to be group it to release the one payment. Each invoice separately will be go. And there is they want to follow that particular bills payable. Bills payable means PDC checks, post date checks. Now I want to release the check today, but clearance is going to be next month 10th. So the couple of scenarios is available in your AP account payable workbench that we're going to talk about very detailed level when we are there in the accounting payable system. In account receivable also same thing. In account receivable also what we'll do in AR. So we'll be creating the transaction. Once item is shipped to the customer location, we have to be create the transaction and we have to collect the money through the receipt. If I collect the check, and there is a process called as a remittance process. That means, so if you want to create the transaction, we have to be configured the system. What setups are mandatory to create the transaction? What setups are mandatory to create the receipt? What setups are mandatory to create the remittance? Those all setups we're going to discuss here. Setups, and we're going to test for transaction like debit, credit, chargeback, and the different kind of transactions. So there is a chargeback is nothing but that the customer is requested. Now he want to be he having the 1000 USD as a transaction. The due date is today, but the customer is calling and he said he having the 800 USD, 200 USD, he don't have money now. So the 200 USD he want to pay in the next month 10th. So he want to close partial payment for actual invoice, and he want to create the new invoice for the remaining amount. Now 1000 USD invoice, 800 USD I want to apply now. I want to close this invoice. The 200 USD I want to create the new invoice for next month. Why means he is asking to pay the next month, correct? So if you want to accept those kind of scenarios, so it's all about scenario only. Okay, so that kind of scenario you want to accept it. We have to do setups called as a chargeback invoice that we have to do. And these all different receipt reversal, write-off. Write-off is nothing but that the small amounts I want to do the round off. Like the transaction is there in the 1000 USD, customer is done the payment 990 USD. There is a pending is a 10 USD. You're unable to collect that money from particular customer. So what I can do, I can able to do the write-off. And there is a refund. So your transaction is there in the 1000 USD, but you collect the 1050 USD. So you collect the 50 USD as additionally. That amount I want to do the right. That amount I want to do the wrong refund to my customer. How the process happened. So how the reciprocal customer, reciprocal nothing but that I create the transaction in the one customer and collecting the money from the other customer. There is a relation between those two customers. Create the transaction from the one customer, collecting the money from the another customer. So those kind of scenarios we call as a reciprocal customer. And there is a couple of scenarios are available. Those all we're going to talk about configuration perspective and as well as transaction perspective. And the cash management, what cash management will do, just now we understand, correct? Doing of the reconciliation, mapping with your bank statement line to your system transaction, your accounting payable system transaction, your account receivable system transactions, we're going to map it. This all we're going to talk about detail level in your particular cash management. How do the manual reconciliation, how the auto reconciliation happen, if any external cash transaction, what is the meaning of external? The name itself is there. So there is the additional line is there in the bank statement. There is a additional line is the bank statement. That particular line information, there is no reference in the system. For suppose your check processing charges or your interest charges, directly bank will collect it, correct? Check processing charges directly it will be debited to your particular account. But that particular check processing charges information is there in your ERP system? No, correct? In ERP system, you release the check, but the processing charges is not there in the information in your ERP system, correct? So those additional lines, if any additional line is there in the bank statement, so those additional lines, there is no reference in your payable system. That kind of lines we call as the external cash transaction. How we are going to be handle that? So how we are going to be handle the Hadoop payments, like the small amounts payment to settle down in the cash management? How internally money transfer, like one bank account to another bank account, I want to transfer the money. How we can able to settle down in the cash management directly? Those internal transactions. What is the cash positioning? What is the cash forecasting? So these all things we'll talk about. Your particular cash position means cash inflow, outflow. Definitely as a CEO, CFO, what they require, they need to be identify the what is the cash inflow is there, what is the cash outflow is there. So they have to be required, correct? So what is the cash positioning from the particular organization? Those all can handle by your particular cash management department. We have to be configure the system, and as well as when the transaction users doing the transactions, if they face the any issue, we have to be supported. Then we have the other core module called as a fixed asset module, the assets creation. To create the asset, manually creation asset, and create the asset in the through the spreadsheet and a mass edition process. If you have any AP invoice having the two lines, the two lines you want to be combined, create the one asset, or in AP invoice having the one line, but that line base you want to create the two assets in your particular FA module, how it will happen, how the run the depreciation for monthly, how the mass copy happening information, to send your tax information to your tax book, how the process will happen. So this all doing of the configuration and test the all the transactions. So that's where will we get the grip on the our particular core financial modules: general ledger module, account payable module, account receivable module, your particular cash management module, your particular fixed asset module. So if you log in your front end application also, as I told you that, so this is a cloud application. You don't require any installation, just you should be required URL, username and password. Here I can say this is a URL, I'm giving the username and password. Once you provided URL and username and password, yes, through the internet source you can log into the your particular Fusion application. This is a Fusion ERP application. Here, based on the which user I log in, the user having which are the roles having that, based on the role base, the user can able to get the access in the application. So I log in as a Tata Rainbow Ravi, correct? This Ravi having which are the roles having that, the role base, you can able to see everything. That particular roles information will talk about as a security concept. RBAC, role-based access control, how we can create the users, how we can able to manage the users, how we can provide the access the roles to the user. And our actual core area is that to create the custom role, we'll get the many requirements from the customer. I have the 10 users are working in the payable department. So I have the user, this user every day he'll log in, just he'll enter the invoices. I don't want to allow to do any other activities. Just I want to give the privilege to enter the invoice, save the invoice. I have the other user. So this user will be login, and what are the invoices entered by user one, the user two, I want to be allowed to be validate the invoice. And third user I have that. So he'll be login. He want to do only for accounting. So this is the way you'll get. As for our predefined role, if I assign, the user can do everything. If I assign, if you see our this particular user having the predefined roles, so as for the predefined roles, I can go to the payable workbench, I can go to the invoice workbench, I can create the invoice, I can validate the invoice, I can accountant the invoice, I can process the payment for invoice, I can do everything. But what customer is asking, I don't want to be allowed to see this all those things, I want to be allowed only create invoice. So that case, I have to be create my custom role. So we have the predefined role. Predefined role, it will giving the fully access. But what's customer requirement? As for the requirement, he don't want to be allowed fully access. He want to restricted the access as for the requirement base. That concept called as a cloud security concept. So this is also very important concept while doing up our functional implementation. So we have to be deep dive about this particular security, but actual our role is our role is not for create the users, not for manage the users. Our actual role, if you are there in the implementation project, to create custom roles using up the existing roles, and we have to be create the custom roles to fulfill the custom requirements in the front end. So that's what we are going to talk about our particular security module. This is the first topic in our particular course. Then if you want to do the configuration, if you want to do the setups in the system, so that concept called as a FSM, functional setup manager, FSM. So here using up the FSM, will do all the setups in the Fusion application, your accounting payable setups, account receivable setups, your cash management setups, your fixed asset setup, and your taxation module setup, all the setups. So once you've done the setups, if you want to be take the backup of your setups, you've done all the configuration, if you want to take the backup of the setups, if you want to create the packages and you want to save into your desktop your setups, our traditional ERP implementation, so we have the number of stages. We'll talk about more. Might be as a fresher you're not understanding the stages, but in ERP is not to directly doing the configuration in the production environment. We have the 1 year in the project or 1.5 year in the project. So 1.5 year, last 10 days we are going to do our actual setups in the actual environment. So this 1.5 year, what we going to do, we have the number of stages. In the number of stages, number of configuration we'll do, and we'll give the presentation to our client to finalize this all setups. Okay, that means in the number of environments we used to do the setups. So one environment you've done the setups, those all setups you want to take the backup in the next environments. If you want to upload, yes, we can do by the configuration package. This way we have the couple of things are available under FSM, functional setup manager. Using up the FSM, doing up the configuration and managing of this, all those things can able to handle by your functional setup manager. And will be create our own organization structure. Each and every company having, there is a own organization structure, we used to call as the enterprise structure. Will be create our own enterprise structure. Under enterprise structure will run the our particular process flows will be run on that. Okay, so how our course will be designed, we'll start our particular course. Security will start using, once we are done the security, we'll go to the FSM, functional setup manager, will go to that. Then once we are good at the FSM, then we'll go to the enterprise structure. That means our particular organization structure will be go. Organization structure will be go. Using up our organization structure will run our process flows. Process flows means that is a P2P flow. That means expense flow. And we have the O2C flow, order to cash, procure to pay, order to cash. That means our particular revenue flow. So we'll run our end-to-end P2P flow, our end-to-end O2C flow. So this is a actual core functional flows. Creation of our securities and understand our FSM, understand the enterprise structure to run end-to-end P2P flow, end-to-end O2C flow. So we'll do all configurations for your P2P setups. We'll do and using of our setups, and will be understand the end-to-end transactions of your P2P. In the same way, we'll do all the setups for your P2P and same setups for your O2C, order to cash. process flows will be understand that. Then once you understand the front end screens, then we'll go talk about data loading part. So data migration part will be talked about. So in latest projects, as a functional guys, mostly we gonna handle the data migration also. So in the data migration means data loading. While doing up the implementation, we have to bring the data from your legacy system to our particular Fusion application. We are taking the example as a Cisco, correct? The Cisco using JD Edwards. As for our example, the Cisco client using the JD Edwards in the last 10 years, correct? In the 10 years means he having the lot of suppliers data, correct? Lot of customer data, correct? In the JD Edwards, in the lot of invoice data, lot of transaction data. So these are all the data we have to bring into the new system, correct? The data we have to bring into our new system. That we call as the data migration, to bring the legacy system data to our Oracle Fusion application. So we have to bring the master data. We have to bring the master data. When you say master data, suppliers data, and we have to bring the customers data. We have to bring the or particular customer data, and we have to bring the items. A lot of items are available from the your particular JD Edwards. We have to bring all data, and we have to bring the transaction data. Transactions in the sense your particular in the GL journal data we have to bring, in AP invoice data we have to bring, in AR transaction data we have to bring. So these all transaction data we have to bring. How the master data will be bring, how we can able to handle the errors, how the transaction data will bring, how we can able to handle the errors. So this will talk about the topic called as a data migration topic. And we'll talk about the reports also. And the talk about our particular reports also. In the reports case, heart of the report for financial people, that is the FRS, Financial Reporting Studio, or we call as the Financial Reporting Center, using up the where we can generate our particular balance sheet, where we can generate our profit and loss. Already we run our P2P flow. What is the flow, correct? That means you are already comfortable in your particular expense journal, revenue journal. Already you comfortable. Those all the data it will come to here, and here will be generate our particular balance sheet. How we can generate our profit and loss. So this all will talk about your particular FRS report. Then we have the OTBI, Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence. So that is the OTBI reports we have that. We'll talk about the OTBI reports we have to talk about that. Then we have the BAP report, Business Intelligence Process Reports. This is also one of the key report in the Oracle Fusion application. So even though you are functional guy, we request to adopt the BAP reports in the day one itself. In the day one itself, in your portal, will be provide the SQL videos. The slowly watch the SQL videos, adapt the SQL. Why means for OTBA report, FRS, data migration, there is no dependency. You can directly adopt it. But BAP, we need SQL. If you want to put on your resume BAP reports, you should be adopt the SQL. So that's the reason day one itself, you have the videos for SQL in your particular video channel. So you can happily watch the videos and adapt slowly SQL. If you are adapt the SQL, then you can easily adapt your particular BAP reports. Okay. So this data migration and reports we're going to talk about that. So once you're good at this, all those things, then we'll start at our particular modules. We have the small concepts, DFF, KFF, and workflows. So that's all we'll talk about this core things we'll talk about. Once you're good, then we'll start our module like accounting payable module, account receivable module, cash management module, general ledger module, and your FA module. And remaining all two modules, taxation and expenses, I'll give the videos. If you want to be putting on your resume taxation module and your particular expense module for my existing batch videos, I'll be provide. But live, I'll be covered accounting payable module, account receivable module, cash management module, fixed asset module, and our particular taxation module. So these are all modules we are going to be covered as for this particular course. The duration of the course, definitely it will take 3 months. Why means it's a very long agenda what we are offering. So to cover this particular kind of agenda, definitely it will take 3 months to finish this particular course. And the every day the class timings will be 8 to 9:30, and it's a Monday to Friday. So Monday to Friday, every day, the class will happen morning 8 to 9:30. It will be conducted, and so you have videos access every day. The class will be recorded. That particular video access, you have that, and you have the materials access. You can able to download the materials, and the instance access. You will get the 6 months instance access. You will get from the as per the course enrollment. This all you will get it from the as a course, and for your as per this course will be conduct the workshops. So this particular workshops, what we gonna cover it. So if you want to be apply the resume, definitely this all is needed. Apart from that, you have to be adapt some process. That is a end-to-end implementation process. End-to-end implementation process where we can start the project and how we can able to end. In this particular process, what kind of documents will we use? So how will we gather the requirements, how we are mapping the requirements, and how the CRP ones happen, how the UATs happen, and their process, what is the process, how we can do that. I'm saying the simply data migration, how really data migration happen, what kind of documents will be created in the data migration, how you bringing, how you are extracting, what kind of process we have that. So those all will talk about end-to-end implementation process. In the same way, support process, what means we gonna putting on the experience in our resume. So if you put on the fresher, there is no openings in Oracle Fusion application. Not only Oracle, any ERP, there is no openings for fresher. Definitely you have to showcase in your experience in your resume. If you want to showcase, definitely you will get comfortable in the product once you've done 15 times or 20 times doing up the AP configuration, test for AP transaction, AR configuration, AR transaction. If you test, definitely if you spend good time, definitely you can easily get grip on the application. But only application grip, whether you will be cracked your interview, no. Definitely you have to adapt the implementation process, and you have to adapt the supporting process. And before going to be interview, so you should be have supporting issues in your hand. I means when you say you have the 2 years of experience in AP supporting project, definitely what kind of questions you will get. So what is the common issues you face in your accounting payable department? What kind of common issues you will receive in AP department? What kind of common issues you will get in AR department? What are the common issues you will get it from the cash management department? So this is a way you will get from your particular questionnaire. It will come. In order to face those questionnaire, you should be understand some of the AP good issues, AR good issues, cash management issues, GL issues. As a functional consultant, one of the key area, month end process. Definitely every month there is a period closing process is there. That means there is a chance to get many issues as a month end process while closing the periods, while opening the periods. So there is a process to close the period as a transaction user. So every month they have to be close the period, they have to be open the period. Opening the period, there is no validation, but closing the period, there is a lot of validations. If you are passing, then only the system will allow to close the periods. The end user will do the lot of mistakes as a month day-to-day process. They happen a lot of mistakes, but this all mistakes will be identified by month end. The all mistake, all the issues, if they resolve, then only the system will allow to close the process. That means definitely there is a lot of issues you will get as a month end process. That's the reason when you putting in the supporting experience in your resume, definitely they're gonna ask this kind of questions. So this we conduct the workshops. So we'll be publish our real WhatsApp groups when we conduct this kind of workshops. These workshops, it will be helpful for you to understand as a interview process will be understand that. But this also, these workshops also, I can say, um, I can say is a very important for our process. Particular process. This all very much important. Usually every 1 month or 2 months will be published these particular workshops. Maybe published recently. That's what I'm trying to show you that. Any questions from your end, anyone?
No questions, Ravi. It's a great demo. Thanks for that. Which version you are working on, Ravi, now? Is it latest version or?
Yeah, latest version only. So we are using
Okay.
the SOS, correct? Then the SOS means there's always latest version.
26B. Okay, okay.
11,
Yes,
11,
yes.
13, 26.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So our agenda is very clear. If you someone is attend this 3 months training, and if you are giving the good time in the practice, definitely they can climb yourself as a at least 4 to 5 years of experience. But ultimate thing is that my deliverable giving the detailed way, but only attending the class, there is no usage for that. You have to be open the application, you have to be spend it. The class, you can leave it that. After the class, if you spend 3 hours, after the class, if you spend the 4 hours, after the class, if you spend the 5 hours, that's where you can expert your particular result. Until unless if you are not spend the time, don't expert the result. Why means in the market, it's not easy to enter it. If you do hard work, definitely you will be entering to the market with my with the help of the rainbow. But if you're not spending the time in the application, it's a difficulty to enter the market. So if you're joining this particular course means you should be arrange your particular daily practice time. That is the primary important. One day if you class miss also, there is no issue, you have the video reference copy, but practice time is the most important. Missing the class, fine, but the same way immediately you have to be open your recording, and you have to be practice the same day, you have to finish the practice, and next day you have to be join the particular next class. Then only you will be connect more on this particular ERP application. Yeah, so that's what for that. So the next things why my team will communicate to that. So if you have any questions from that, freshers who are there in this call, majorly Basha, which for any questions from your end?
Thanks, sir. I need to drop. Thank you. I'll reach out to your team.
Yeah, fine, Prasad.
Thank you.
No questions, Ravi. It's a great day.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.